Hi my dear students, very good morning to all of you. Students, through this video today we shall try to learn a very important topic in grammar, that is auxiliary verb. This is in fact the base of many other topics that you will be covering in your higher studies and higher classes. Once you master over this, all the other topics of grammar will become easy for you. Before we come to this, what auxiliary verb is, just a recap of what you have done in your lower and previous class. You all have learnt verb. Well, verbs are action words like jump, dance, clap, tap. You remember your first standard poem? Clap your hands, listen to the music and clap your hands, tap your feet. If not, just try to hum this. So auxiliary verbs are the verbs which help to express the main verb's tense or voice. In other words, they help the main verb, and that is the reason they are also called as helping verbs. They can also be remembered in other way. Like there are three functions. The first one is to be. To be means am, is, are, was, were, being, been, will be. The next one, to have. That is have, has, had, having, will have. Next, to do. That is do, did, does, will do. Now, let us try to understand the functions of auxiliary verb with respect to sentences. Be is used to make present continuous and past continuous tense. For example, I am studying. Mom is cooking. In this sentence, am is auxiliary verb and study plus ing is the ing form of the sentence, that is continuous. Cook plus ing. Next example, we were trying to catch a fish. Were is be function of auxiliary verb. Try plus ing, continuous. Next, be is used for passive sentences. Example, we were caught by the police. Passive. Your teacher might have taught you S plus V plus O pattern and O plus V plus S pattern of sentences. So here it is, we were caught by the police. Next, my pocket was picked. These are the examples of be function. Next, it is also used in present perfect and past perfect tense. Perfect sentences show an action that is complete and finished. In other words, perfected. When we say perfect, means the sentence will be easily recognized by the existence of the word has, have, had. Let us see a few sentences. Maggie has finished writing the article. Has and finished. Then writing. Jackson and Alice have taken the bike. Mom had finished cooking before he arrived. So these three examples are of present perfect and past perfect tense. Have is a very popular substitute for the main verb. Children, you have to remember the auxiliary verb have is a very popular substitute for the main verbs eat and drink. Now comes the do function. The do function is used in forming negatives, negative questions or negative sentences like I do not like pizza. Negatives and questions also, together both. For example, weren't you angry? Do you love it? So these are the examples of sentences with negatives, questions, emphatic sentences. A modal verb allows us to talk about actions as possibility, doubtful, necessity, compulsion, advice, suggestion, and many more. You may be wondering what modal verb is. Well, the be function of the auxiliary verb, the have function, and the do function are primary auxiliary verb. And the other words that you have learnt, can, could, will, would, shall, should, may, might, must, need to, used to, ought to, these are all modal auxiliary verbs which talks about actions as possibility, doubts, necessity, compulsion, advice, suggestions, permission, and many more. For example, James may come tomorrow. Here the word may is auxiliary word. I should have listened to my teacher. Next, you ought to do this. James may come tomorrow. We have to be disciplined. Here the words have to, ought to, will, may, they all indicate modal auxiliary verb with the functions of permission, suggestion, advice, or possibility. Students, the do functions of the auxiliary verb, that is do, did, does, is used also in affirmative sentences besides negatives, questions, emphatic sentences. For example, do it as soon as possible. Did he hurt you? In case of negatives, doesn't he look insane? Didn't she tell you? Etc. So children, this was all about auxiliary verbs and its two categories, primary auxiliary verb and modal auxiliary verb. Hope you have understood, if not everything, little bit of it. But I am sure with your efforts and interest, you'll be able to understand. If you make a thorough study, very soon you will become a master of grammar, English grammar. Thank you. God bless you all, children.